Spoilerin time, folks. This is a show built on the back of the hard work we do on Cord Killers, our other show. At Cord Killers, we learn how to find the things and what to watch and how to pick them. And then we watch them and come over here and talk about them. This week, we're going to talk about Westworld, Season 4, Episode 1. They are back. The Boys, Season 3, Episode 6. And Obi-Wan, the finale, Season 1, Episode 6. I'm Tom Merritt. He's Brian Brushwood.
Heck yeah, dude. I am ready to dive in with Obi-Wan.
Hello there. Let's talk about Obi-Wan Season 1, Episode 6, in which he finally says, hello there, to Luke Skywalker. But we don't get to see what happens next.
To be honest, the only gratuitous part about that was that he had to carry the exact dumb toy that we see at the beginning of A New Hope that Luke is playing with. Tom, I'm trying to be a better person. And I've already previously acknowledged that for some people, this has been a delightful show. But this was the episode that I truly felt, my goodness, this would have made an extraordinary movie. This would have been a great movie. And I got a little bit, dare I say, angry that it was a cheaply produced series of 6 episodes because I felt a little bit robbed of something. And this would have been the best movie of the Disney Star Wars era, and it's not going to happen. And all the gaps are filled in because heaven forbid there should be gaps, but I feel robbed.
I'm a Philistine. I'm a country boy who was taught, doesn't matter if it's clean as long as it works. So none of the cheaply produced stuff ever lands with me. That never bothers me with stuff. I sit here when you say it was cheaply produced and I believe you because you tell me it was, but I don't see cheaply produced. I'm cheaply produced blind. So I don't get that. On the other hand, I 100% get your contention that this would have been better as a movie, because as I was watching this come to a conclusion, I was like, this is fun. This is great. I want to see, I love to see the battle and where this is going and the chase and the, how's he going to get out of it? And I thought the ending was fantastic. And then they kept going.
And to be clear, when I say it was cheaply produced, I don't mean by like money standards. I mean like The Boys is more polished than this show. It reeks of more quality.
Okay. Still, I definitely found high spots in Obi-Wan that I loved, and made it worth watching. I agree that maybe binging this, or if they had edited it down, it would have been even better. I still enjoyed it. I enjoyed every second of it. You hear me talk about Let's Talk About Star Wars about it with Jenny and Garrett, and there were some really, really fun parts. I wasn't sure why we needed him to show up on Alderaan. I feel like that was incredibly risky. That he should have been chastised for doing that. Like, that's how you get caught. However, really did love the lightsaber battle, and I really enjoyed how they were able to reconnect the Obi-Wan and Anakin that we had come to know in the prequels by having the face mask smash. This is a younger Darth Vader who's still more like Anakin than he is like Vader, and being a lore nerd who really doesn't like the inconsistencies and is like, well, wait a minute, now they have met since he was a learner.
Yes,
like,
I had the same thought.
That one bothers me. But they fixed the other one, which was him saying, like, I'm not Anakin. I killed Anakin. And now Obi-Wan isn't lying as much when he says, Darth Vader killed your father. I know, because Darth Vader told me. And we see Obi-Wan stop calling him Anakin and start calling him Darth.
Yes. And yeah, that minor inconsistency aside, the gratuitous parts, there was no need for the Qui-Gon, but whatever. You want to be a completionist, fine. There was no need for that toy. Whatever. You want to be a completionist is fine. I did kind of love seeing Owen and Beru have a very old-fashioned wooden blaster that they pulled out, and that really rang true to the spirit.
Hold on, honey, I'll get the gun.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
That was pretty great.
I kind of love that. Although I must admit, and I think Bryce will sympathize. What's her name? Clearly out to get Vader when she heads to Tatooine, I'm thinking, oh, she's going to like, support screwing over Vader because Luke later kills Vader, right? And then I'm like, why is she trying to kill Luke? And then I'm like, oh, dummy, because that's, all she knows is that is Vader's child. And then Bryce.
I had to Google who these. I had realized that we were talking about two people who had the same last name, and I needed to Google what their relation was because I did not quite understand what the relativity was between Luke Skywalker and Anakin Skywalker, and everyone seemed to inform me. But maybe they should say in the maybe you know what, I'm gonna stand up for myself here. Maybe they should say he is his father and he's trying to kill his son. Maybe you could say that one time.
I thought it was weird that they had bad encryption on the message from Bale, but that would have been the place to do it for you, right?
Yeah,
that would have been
Anakin, who's now
Anakin's son.
Yeah.
That's interesting. It's not a problem that more than 2% of the people watching this probably have, but it is a problem. It's fair. It's a fair problem.
Actually, did you guys? There is scuttlebutt going around from some of the original writers of Obi-Wan Kenobi that this definitely was written to be a spin-off movie that was supposed to be 2 hours long, and then after Solo, it ended up having to be stretched, and other people filled it.
That was in that Vanity Fair article where they talked about, the journey of like, well, we originally were going to do a movie. I mean, they spin it as like, and we made the best of a situation and discovered we had way more story to tell. So we turned it into a series, but your mileage may vary on that.
Would have been a great movie.
Would have been a really good movie.
I mean, and not for nothing, like the fight choreography was great. Oh, it also did something I literally have never seen anywhere, any Star Wars, anything. It represented passion for the light side in such a way that I believed that this surge of energy that Obi-Wan Kenobi was experiencing was coming from a place of good. I have never ever seen that, because in the first trilogy we see in Empire Strikes Back, the time Luke starts winning is when he's clearly tapping into dark forces, and then again when he takes down the Emperor, he's clearly in some fit of rage or whatever. And I'm like, what's the lesson? And even as a kid, I understood that these were mixed messages. This is the first time I ever saw the light side truly feel like the light side and powerful.
Like get inspiration from good. Yeah. No, I like that a lot too. I'm tempted to roll my eyes at Reva's turnaround, but I thought that was earned. I thought it was earned because they showed us why she hated Vader. And so when she's about to kill Luke to get back at Vader, she realizes that she is becoming him, and turns around. I buy that. On the other hand, I don't trust Reva. I wouldn't induct her into the rebellion just yet. And she carries the big secret that no one is supposed to know until A New Hope. So I feel like she kind of has to die, because really, she's not going to tell anybody? I don't buy it.
She's in the wilderness, and keep in mind, that secret doesn't have to last very long. She can keep a secret for 10 years. Stay off the map for 10 years. That's how short
Reva, you know her. She's always going off like, she's not going to be passionate anymore.
Well,
okay. Let something slip.
She got to the precipice of going.
She's going to get drunk at the cantina and to be like, guess what I know?
Would anyone believe her if she told?
Wouldn't that be great if like she was spilling tea all over the place, but nobody believed?
I would love to see that. Like, whatever.
Gossip Jedi. Okay, see, now this is a pitch. This is an idea for a show.
That is an idea for a show. She has lost her purpose in life. So rather than join the rebellion, which I don't buy they'd let her in, she just becomes lost and is like running around taking odd jobs trying to convince somebody. We need an ending, though.
Well, I mean, you save her for her own series, or to show up as the Deus Ex Machina in Mandalorian season 8 or whatever.
Yeah, you could bring her into Mandalorian, then you don't have to have a whole story arc for her character.
Yeah, she's out in the wilderness, shows up and is awesome, and says, "Hey, you know what you should do? Be slightly evil like me."
Although you can't do Bryce's great, like, her talking drunk and nobody believes her thing, because at that point everybody's like, yeah, we all know Luke Skywalker was Anakin Skywalker.
Wouldn't that be great? Hold on. That would actually harken back to the real Old West where information didn't immediately disseminate like the
Right.
internet. So there is no Twitter. It takes a while for word to get around.
That's funny. Yeah. Because the HoloNet has been down in this area for a long time. All right. Any other thoughts on Obi-Wan?
No, I ended up. This was the best of all of the episodes, and in general, I ended up on a higher, more positive note than I felt earlier. But boy, oh boy, did I feel this should have been a movie. Should have been a movie, Tom.
Obi-Wan, season 1, episode 6. That does it. Let's talk about The Boys, season 3, episode 6, wherein Homelander has a talk with himself.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of naked people.
Tom, there was a
Yes.
lot of buzz around this episode going into it, and I think I regret reading any of the buzz going into it because
I did not read any of the buzz, so I went in cold.
I think I had expectations set just a little bit too high. It was good. We
It was
found
good.
out that Homelander's crazy, so spoiler alert, boy who was raised by a corporation as property, who's not entirely human, turns out to not be mentally healthy.
Thank goodness we've spent no time doing that same story over and over every single week.
Right.
Yeah, it felt weird to finally to introduce him talking to himself in the mirror at this point, but yeah, it's a choice. I loved Soldier Boy and Billy Butcher and Huey team up to fight Homelander and almost win because it takes 3 of them, but you've got 3, 2 who abandoned their principles and shooting up the V have powers similar enough that they can assist. That was great. That was Captain America fights Superman level.
It felt earned. And when Homelander ran away, he didn't feel defeated. He felt like he was making a tactical retreat because he was dealing with more than he expected. It felt like he was just backing up to reassess. I like that a lot.
Yeah, to be like, oh, okay, I did not expect those 2 to have powers, and now I've got to recalculate. I thought that was great. Also thought that they did a great job of having I want to call her Light Switch suddenly.
Starlight or
Starlight?
Starlight.
By the way,
Yeah.
Kim from Chicago is freaking out in the chat right now saying, no, he was defeated. He ran. Hard disagree. I think he was surprised, suddenly realized he had a contender.
Down. There's a difference between losing the battle and losing the war. I love
he ran back to run Vought Enterprises. That sounds like a defeat. Sorry.
Starlight stuck to her principles, which is consistent with her character. She's been principled through this whole time, been tempted to compromise and never has. And I like that she was like, no, what we need to do is help people. And finally does the thing that she's been on the edge of because she's been like, all right, I guess I can compromise a little bit to help you, Huey. And then Huey taking the other path of like, no, practicality. I've got to shoot up V. It's the only way we can defeat him. Ends justify the means. Starlight sticks to her guns and was like, not only am I going to help people, but I'm going to risk my life and put this out there because he has built me up as America's sweetheart. And I'm the only one who could do it. I'm the only one who could possibly get away with saying it. I love that.
Do you think that Vought tries to just say, oh, that's all, AI, fake CG, fake news or whatever?
No, because that is easy enough for Starlight. I mean, I guess they could capture her silencer and say it was faked or something, but I don't think they'll go that route. I think there's enough ways for Starlight to be able to say no, it's really me. It would feel cheap to me if they went that direction with it, but it's not impossible, I guess.
I in this chess game where everybody has a kill shot on everybody, and this is what's great about The Boys is it's a perpetual Mexican standoff, and there's that dual reality of the public messaging versus the reality. It in that regard, it kind of feels like nothing's changed, although everything's changed. I suppose.
Yeah.
Basically, everybody has just reshuffled and taken different positions at this point.
Another aspect of this that really entertained me was Soldier Boy isn't mad at Homelander. And so he doesn't have the motivation to fight. And so he starts to lose. And then Butcher gets in, who hates Homelander and does not mind killing. In fact, the whole point is killing Homelander, and starts to get the upper hand. I liked them playing with that dynamic for sure.
Yeah, and Soldier Boy is this. I I mean, I know he's motivated by vengeance and so on, and understands that whatever, these guys help me out, I guess I'll help him kill whoever this weird guy is. Um, I don't know what Soldier Boy wants 5 years from now. Whereas I do feel like I know what Homelander wants 5 years from now, Huey wants 5 years from now, everybody, you know?
Well, he wants his old world back, and he wants to be a protector of this world, but he's been gone from the world for 60, 70 years.
He wants to go back to rapping on solid gold.
Yeah. And also, he definitely doesn't have control of his powers, right? Every time he's used it, he's been wildly over killing people. Well, you know, he only wanted to kill the twins here, but he was listening to Russian pop music, and so he had I don't know, a PTSD flash or something, and then he killed a lot of people.
Although the one time he tried to use it on purpose on Homelander, it didn't quite work out, and Homelander was able to get away.
Yeah. So does he have control of himself? Is he very powerful?
Apparently not. Yeah.
Who knows?
Oh, also we saw the return of the powers of Frenchie's.
Wait, you know what's I did.
Thank you.
Did they make it totally clear that Kimiko had powers, or that I thought she was just very skilled at fighting? I didn't see anything.
Well, they shot her. They shot her like 12 times through that one corpse.
Okay. I guess so.
But
yeah, I feel like that's healing powers when you get shot through a corpse 12 times and you keep fighting.
I stand corrected. This is my mistake for watching it almost a week ago.
But it's a good question, because I mean, up until that point and everything after, you're like, didn't you just? It was in the recap. You said I don't have powers anymore. I don't know.
Oh shoot! So remember, she lost her powers in a tussle with Soldier Boy, but then the powers come back.
Oh, and he's radioactive. Does radioactivity kill superpowers?
Is it possible that it's a temporary effect, but Homelander loses his powers temporarily?
After the tussle. That's interesting. Kent from Chicago suggests that it looked to him that the corpse she was holding absorbed all the bullets, and she was wounded.
I guess we'll find out next week. But that was confusing if that's what they meant.
Yeah. But again, they've earned the right. At this point, I trust them so much that go ahead, confuse me for just a little bit, because I trust that you'll collapse the superposition.
It's not a complicated show.
It's not a complicated. Yeah. Not a complicated. Unlike the Hulk bit.
We never know where it began or end.
All right. Any other thoughts on The Boys?
It's great. If you didn't hear my recommendation during the main show, give it a listen to that Audible original, Deeper and Deeper. I really enjoyed it.
That is The Boys, Season 3, Episode 6. Let's talk about Westworld, Season 4, Episode 1. I've been very excited about this because, Brian, you did not watch it, right?
I did not. And I tell you what, man, I had the class all weekend, and I had just enough energy. I was like, maybe I will. and so I didn't feel bad. I'm glad that we set this up.
Yeah.
So the experiment is Bryce and I are watching it, and we'll talk about it with Brian present. You can ask questions, make comments, whatever you want, Brian.
Yep.
As usual, you're not going to watch it till the end.
Yeah. So my first question is, do we go back to Westworld?
No, thankfully. I don't like being in Westworld. To me is very limiting versus like the whole world. So we're like I don't know. Tom?
In the trailer though, it looks like we might be.
Yeah, it looks like yes.
In the future episodes.
Well, and there's other worlds. There's World War II world and
you showed off
and world,
gangster world.
There are other worlds.
Okay.
Yeah. So this episode, though, we do a time jump.
Yeah, and they're not very clear about that until you start hearing how old some of these characters are. Exactly,
and I honestly wasn't 100% clear until I watched the post-show interview with the makers of the show. But it's a time jump. And so everybody's a little older. Maeve is off living alone in the woods. Jesse Pinkman, what's his actual character's name? Caleb. Thank you. Caleb is now married with a kid, and has a little PTSD from the war. So the war that started at the end of season 3 has happened. It's over. People have recovered. And Dolores is dead. We all know. But there's someone who looks quite a bit like her, played by Evan Rachel Wood, named Christina, who is working at a game company writing scenarios that seem like they may be drawn from real life somehow? Question mark.
Mm-hmm. And she seems to be like writing backstory. She's writing like NPC backstories. That certainly sounds like they're being contracted by a Westworld style amusement park. I really liked bringing back Evan Rachel Wood as Christine because I spent this whole episode not being sure if that was Evan Rachel Wood or not. And
yeah, they made her look different enough that I had the same doubts a couple of times, like, oh, maybe that isn't her. And then I'm like, no, it's definitely her, but she's not acting like Dolores. And in fact, they're not even trying to imply that it is Dolores.
right.
But it certainly looks like her because it's the same actor.
And
So I'm not sure what they're up to there because this is just somebody who has tapped into the data that they destroyed somehow is the implication, right? She knows people's histories, but is not aware that she's doing it.
yeah,
Or at least not admitting that.
and I'll be honest, I watched that making of featurette too, Tom, and I forgot that we thought Teddy was dead, and so it's very interesting that he's not.
Yeah,
and
at the very end of this episode, we see Teddy. So the reveal is that Teddy is still about.
there's a Teddy.
There is a Teddy.
This is old Teddy, right?
Yeah,
Man in
Marston.
Black Teddy.
No.
Yeah.
John.
Oh,
John
got
Marston.
it. Got it. John Marsden. Got it.
We have not seen Bernard yet.
Oh, right.
We have not seen Charlotte Hale yet.
Right.
What about the
We
piano?
we did see the Man in Black.
We did.
Ed Harris shows up and he buys the Hoover Dam, apparently.
Well, he wanted to, Tom.
Yeah.
But he ended up taking it instead.
So the shtick was that he shows up, the cartel owns the Hoover Dam now. It's been privatized. And Ed Harris wants the data that's on the servers that are stored at the Hoover Dam, and he's willing to pay for it. The cartel says, well, that's not how we do business, not ours to sell. Sorry, buddy, we can't take your money. And Ed Harris says, well, you'll either pay me today or you'll give it to me free tomorrow. And they laugh at him. And then that night, man gets covered in flies. And the next day, they give him the Hoover Dam.
After killing a lot of the higher ups in the cartel to joke about
because
it.
the flies told him to do it. I was very unclear on how the flies fit in. I know that they terrified him and landed on him and he got weird.
Tom, do you remember season 1?
I don't know.
The flies are how they send software updates to the hosts.
Oh.
But that man was very visibly a human being who got swarmed by flies and then ended up hypnotized into killing the cartel and giving the man
reprogrammed. Yeah.
and
okay.
That's
All right.
fascinating. We are now bridging the human host divide somehow. So much so that they made flies the big thing in the intro graphics. Did you see that? They changed that again.
All right. So we'll probably be seeing that some more. And then Maeve gets hunted down because she's remembering Westworld and causes a power outage. And then Colonel Brigham shows up to kill her and she gets away. And then she gets away to warn Caleb. Caleb's wife thinks he's like imagining things. He's being paranoid until somebody shows up to try to kill Caleb. And then he and Maeve take off to find a senator, which I assume is Charlotte, right?
Oh, a senator from California? That could be.
Yeah, I think it's probably Charlotte Hale, but
That's a good. And I you know what? I really like the Maeve Caleb dynamic. They really just work together in a really nice way.
Yeah.
They have good chemistry. I liked seeing Caleb's arc, him kind of becoming the family man that he wanted to be, and then having this calling of the war is actually not over. Turns out I gotta go save the day. I thought that was fantastic. I thought seeing his kid and his wife, that was all very nice without beating you over the head that like the computer said you won't get married and have a kid.
Guess what? Now you're free. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And so we're in a world where The computer no longer is affecting people's destinies, and the robots are defeated. But apparently, the Man in Black has a plan, and Maeve and Caleb are starting a posse to stop him
Mhm.
from his evil plan. And so, what we don't know is what data is encrypted on the Hoover Dam. Is it a copy of the data that was originally destroyed? Is it a part of that data? Is it something to do with Westworld? We don't know.
Uh, I am just now remembering that the computer you're talking about was like everyone in society has a place, and
Has
this
been
is how it should
trashed,
go.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All
Yeah.
right.
And then at the end of the season, they blew it up,
Yeah. Yeah. They
leading to the
successfully.
war.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they freed everyone.
I am so happy that we're doing this way because hearing the left turns from you guys is awesome. Do they ever make it really clear who was good or bad in the war, or who?
No, they just very obliquely refer to the war, and the war happened, and Caleb fought in it, but it's over, and it's been over for a while now. That's all.
There's there's a great graffiti. You see great graffiti near the beginning, near where Caleb lives, and it's like a stencil of a host like attacking a human or something, and the words, what does it say? Your brain, my brain, my choice, or something like that. So, like a very specific.
Yeah, my
pointed
brain,
thing.
my choice. That's right,
When
yeah.
you say host, I assume you mean the blank faced.
An automaton.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but it was like a stencil, so clearly
Got it.
there was a lot of that being going on.
Right.
Tom, I texted you earlier today asking if you noticed the song that they played at the end.
I did, and I couldn't put my finger on why I knew it.
Yeah. That is an orchestration of Lana Del Rey's Video Games, which is a very like lovey-dovey song right before Teddy comes out and emerges as the man who is stalking Christine / Dolores.
Christina, yeah.
Christina. And it was funny because I like noticed it at first. I was like, oh, wait, what is that? And then the chord's gonna go like this. Oh, what is that? And I had to spend a few minutes making sure I got the right one. But that was great. Normally those covers, I don't either notice them or care too much, but that one was fun because it felt very for the moment.
Very motivated, yeah, for sure.
And she writes
Also,
video games.
I'm guessing Christina got bit by a fly with Dolores's memories, but why does she look like Dolores?
Right. And there's
Well, if from what I'm hearing, this is fun, is for me to speculate, not having seen it. From what I heard from Bryce, if the automatons, if the robots have figured out a way to update humans via flies, then why, if they can update memories and personalities and willpower, why wouldn't they also be able to update musculature, DNA, and facial structures?
yes, though I will say it would not be in the Man in Black's motivations to make another Dolores.
No, definitely not. So I don't know, but it might be for Teddy.
Oh, maybe. And they're going to do something with her roommate, right? Like her roommate's going to be...
Her roommate's a handler.
Yeah.
There's this whole roommate story with Maya, her roommate, who keeps trying to get her to go out and date. Like, you need to get out of the house more. You're such a homebody. Come on out. Like, we're going on a blind date. And then she meets some like really douchey guy who's an investor, blah, blah, blah. It goes bad.
I just can read the market, you know.
In what context does Teddy show up again? Like, how do they
at the
explain?
very end?
Got it. So he's a surprise. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
The whole time, Christina's saying like, I just feel like there's someone watching me. And her roommate is like, you don't even leave the house.
Right.
But then...
And the fake out is that there's a guy who's been calling her who shows up in front of her house in the morning and tries, it says, you need to stop. You're ruining my life. You know too much about me. And you kind of start to piece together that her NPC backstory characters are ripped from real people's lives. So you think, you're supposed to think, he's the guy
Is that what
that was following me. But there's also somebody else that protects her from him. So that turns out to be Teddy.
Tom, you said something interesting. So you think the issue was that she took someone else's story and then that was the person who jumps off the roof at the end?
Yeah, so Pete, the guy who
somebody jumped off the roof at the end?
Oh yeah, that guy we were talking about jumps off a roof.
Well, yeah, that's Pete, the guy who's calling her and claiming like she needs to stop, she's ruining his life and all that. And she's like, no, I just make up stories. And he's like, that's my story. And the implication I got was that her NPC backstories happen to be actual people's stories. Pete was one of
even
those
she
people.
doesn't know that she's pinching from reality.
Because she keeps saying, like, I'm not doing anything. I don't know what you're talking about. But he's like, then why do you know everything? And then he's like, can you change the ending? And then he goes up on the roof, calls her, and like, can you change this ending? And jumps off the roof.
So
Well, yeah.
And she says, no, I can't because you jumped off the roof.
my
But then goes and alters the game so that the character jumps off the roof at the end.
I think that guy was a host, Tom, and I think it's
Yeah.
very telling that they don't show anything from him jumping. I mean, clearly, like, some decency, whatever. But if he was a host, you would think that you would see the milky blood or whatever.
Yeah, right.
I guess to my eye, or the way I read it, was that what she does is she writes, stories for new hosts, and then new hosts are getting out of whatever the current Westworld park is.
She might not know she's writing stories for new hosts, but they're being used for that. Yeah, that's another way. That's another way it could go. That's a good point.
And also, that the stalker did not set off. When she's walking back from that date. It's dark and the street lights are flashing on over as she's walking back. She bumps into him because he didn't trip the light, and
Yeah,
I think Teddy doesn't as well.
As like he's been standing there so long, the motion detector forgot he was there because that actually happens. So I don't know. That could go either way. Yeah.
I wonder. I think that the hosts can't trip that light or something, and that's I don't know. What do you? God, there was so much in this episode. It's such a good show, Tom.
It was a really good first episode. Like there were some weird left turns, and saying them out loud sounded funny. I know, but I enjoyed it front to back. I thought it was great.
The other big thing is the tower. The idea there's a homeless man early on who's arguing that there's the tower. And I think even the stalker mentions the tower.
He says something about the tower. It was kind of oblique, and you're not sure why he was referencing it. Yeah.
And I feel like maybe I'm reading into stuff, but I feel like they had a lot of imagery, a lot of icons in this episode of a tower or a structure between, the homeless man's sign was kind of drawn like that. A lot of those street lights look kind of obelisk like.
Yeah, I thought about that. You're right.
So I don't know. I wonder what that's.
You have a man in black. Why not have a dark tower?
I'm trying to wrap my mind around, and maybe this is going to be the fun game, being on the outside of all of this. If there was a war, how on earth would humans win? And so from the beginning, I've not seen the episode, but unless they distinctly did something to indicate that humans won, I'm just assuming everybody's a host.
Well, Caleb is the only person we know was human.
Wow.
Right?
But we do see
and he's still around.
Christina bleeds, and she has like she has it bandaged up.
I mean, they could have improved things so it looks like they bleed, I guess. But yeah, no, that's a good point.
Yeah. Which is why I think that light sensor thing is so big, because I feel like Teddy didn't trip that light either, but I don't know.
Is there any reason that, as of this moment, we can't find out at the last episode of the season that I don't know, the last 1 million humans are in Australia, and just robots are taking the place of humans all around the world?
No.
Okay.
Well,
it would be
not
very
Australia, because the Man in Black goes to the Hoover Dam. It's clear.
Okay,
it's definitely the Hoover
Well,
Dam.
I mean, assuming he's a human.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Right.
It's
yeah.
I don't know. That would not be roundabout and stupid in the way that this show likes to be, which I like.
Maeve's out in the country. So, like, it could be a big Westworld-like reservation for humans, I suppose, that happens to be built around
that's
the
what I'm
Hoover Dam.
hoping,
I
is
don't
that
know.
all the humans have been rounded up and put on Westworld, and everyone else is a robot, and these are the last...
put it
I
this
think you're
way.
just describing society. It's world.
If they hadn't called out the Hoover Dam particularly by showing a big shot that is like, clearly this is the Hoover Dam, I'd say, yeah, no, it could absolutely be a reservation. There's nothing else in it that indicates that it could be. Although
it could be west of the Rockies or some other...
They're in New York, but did they ever say New York?
That's the crazy thing,
I only
Tom.
know it's New York because I'm like, well, that's the High Line.
Right.
And it's a city, but it could be an imaginary city or a self-built city.
They don't, and they didn't do that with Los Angeles last season, I think.
Right.
Which, I don't know. I was watching, one of the notes I took down was like, I really wish they would just give me location cards.
Yeah.
So, because future New York and future LA look very
similar. Why they're not, in this case, maybe not last season, but this case it might not be. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good show.
Yep, I think I'm getting the best possible experience out of this show. I'm convinced.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait for you to binge all this later too and be like, well, now that I knew this was much more enjoyable. This was not. This is going to be super fun. Thanks everybody for being with us. That, of course, is Westworld season 4, episode 1. Next week, we are not doing a show in honor of the independence of our country from the Queen of England. But we will be back in 2 weeks for The Boys, episodes 7 and 8, and Westworld, episodes 2 and 3. You get these episodes early if you're a patron. So go to patreon.com/cordkillers and sign up right now. We'll talk to you next time.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.